Well, wasn't that right on cue, my friends? Just as I went live, we had a group fly toward us. Welcome to Shadow Lake. In a semi-foggy morning in Snohomish, Washington, about 30 miles north of Seattle. This is where many trumpeter swans spend the evening, and a few other birds. Many of the swans have already left this morning and have left for the nearby farm fields. Thanks, Kit. And you'll see them leaving now in group after group. And here we go. Three pairs just left. Nice triple tall. Triple tall, I can't wait to have some coffee with you shortly. Again, many of them have already left, but there's still quite a few out there. Now here's the cool thing about this lake. I've mentioned this a lot of times in my scopes. A lot of times we're scoping in the evening and I'm in an area off in that direction, about a mile away. Oh, here we go. Gotta get this. And in the evening, this is where they're headed. They spend the evening in a couple of nearby lakes in this area. And what's great about this location, it's kind of hit and miss, but they always fly away from the lake in the morning in wave after wave. Sometimes they come straight toward me. But the reason they're turning around is because they're going to the farm fields. Look at this. Okay, here we go. Look at all these guys leaving now. And what's so encouraging this year, my first time out here at the lake with the swans this season, is we're getting a good cell signal. Now, I've got to believe you're hearing them fairly well. Nice to get out here in time to see several of them. Next time I want to get out here even earlier though. hope your Wednesday is off to a good start, everybody. And happy Veterans Day, and thank you to all veterans for your service. Look at how they run across that water. So loud, and then in just a few seconds, into formation. And the beautiful grace, from clumsy looking to grace, so graceful, just like that. This is Shadow Lake. I've been coming here for years, Janine. This is the lake featured on my photography website with Swans. If you want to check out some close-up shots of these swans on this lake from years past, markhornerphotography.com/swans. You're welcome. Thank you for asking. They sound like horses galloping down the stretch, don't they? Not the honking, or the trumpeting, if you will. Just that initial sound on the water. So no tripod today. I've got the phone on a gimbal and the DSLR around my neck on a strap. And I'm just shooting with a 50mm. I got another lens with me which would allow me to zoom in, but for the moment just challenging myself to shooting with the 50mm. These guys are heading in a different direction over here. Glad you see the beauty in it. Is it Jagama? Sorry if I'm not saying it correctly. Hi, Hi, Deb. Deb, I think you just joined. Many of the Trumpeter Swans have cleared out by now. Several had already left by the time I got down to the water's edge, but there were still a good many here when I arrived. In fact, just as I started to scope, some took off flying generally towards us. Their typical takeoff on the runway of the lake here today has been to come this way and then peel off to the right. And then most of them are doing a 180 going back toward the farm fields off in the direct distance there. I've only seen other birds so far this morning. I have been out here on many other occasions where just after sunset, around sunset, I hear coyotes very much in this area. So just to recap for those who haven't heard it from me before, because I've said it so many times over the years on Periscope, but this is one of the primary lakes where the local trumpeter swans spend the evening, and they feel they're safe here. Down at that far end, everything out there is marshy, and over here you have a high bluff. And if you're down on that end of the lake, anything that tries to approach from here is going to be heard. And so they spend the evening in the shallows, and many groups come together. They scatter in the farm fields to graze during the day. And trumpeter swans also do a great deal of eating in the shallows and the mud of these lakes, like this one. And so I feel that they come together, safety in numbers kind of a feeling. Now, that said, this is a really interesting area because bald eagles are also in the area. I've seen bald eagles hunting. Hang on a second, am I hearing snow geese? Where are they? Oh, there they are. I see snow geese. Check this out. They're way up there in a V formation on the move. Do you see them? How about that? Those snow geese come here all the way from Russia. Okay, more swans on the move. Hang on. You do hear them good. You heard the snow geese. And now you've got the trumpeters. Sorry, I was shooting through the DSLR around my neck as well. Anyway, we do have bald eagles very much in this area too. And one of the places, and it's an ideal place to be a bald eagle, is this snag, this lone tree right out there. Sometimes I photographed them in pairs there. And we have some local bald eagle nests as well. I got some sort of dark ducks here. You guys will probably know what they are. I don't. They're feeding here in the shallows, making shallow dives. And I've seen deer down here too. That's a thrill. They bed down in the tall grass. Hello, hope it's all well. Been a while. Lake always mysterious. Well, thank you for joining. Sea scooters. Surf scooters, yeah. Surf scooters are north of us now, Janine. And they're rough. Well, that went rather well for my little photography moment. Hope you got to see it in your frame as well. Shooting blind with periscope there for a moment. Blindly. Awesome. Just heard a hawk. Yeah, they'll be back here tonight. If you look at even several of my recent scopes, I'm out in the evening around sunset and I'm featuring trumpeter swans. And when they fly off or fly overhead, they're headed to this lake primarily and another nearby one. The other nearby one is just a little bit east of here. And I've actually never been to it. It's very close though. And it's got houses around it. This is in what's called the Bob Ehrman Wildlife Area or Wildlife Preserve. And so there's lots of elbow room. And oftentimes I'm the only one here, which I just love. Have I looked for scoters at Clinton Fatty Landing? No, Deb, I haven't. You know what I sometimes see here as well is, I believe they're called nutria. That kind of reminds me of beavers or otters. Yeah, there is a big windstorm coming, and it looks like Oregon. Oregon has. I was looking. They were forecasting off the coast of Oregon, you know, out in the deep sea, but some waves up to 80 feet. Anyway, I think Oregon's going to get the brunt of it, but it's definitely going to impact Washington and British Columbia as well. Fatty question mark. Well, Deb, I thought that's what you wrote. Fatty Clinton Fatty Landing. Did you mean ferry landing? I just scrolled up and reread that earlier comment, and it says fatty. And trust me, I am the king of being all thumbs when it comes to texting on a phone. And it can be embarrassing, can it? If you press send or publish. No one kayaking here. Not on this lake. You won't see that here. I don't even think it's allowed. I just noticed there's another photographer here with a big lens on a tripod. This person just showed up. I didn't see them earlier anyway. Looks like they're with a child. You see them through the leaves? Competitors, yeah. Well, normally they're at where I normally go, but I've learned that. So yeah, the photos that feature this lake and swans on my photography gallery, I'm usually over there. But over the years, I've envied the people who are here where I'm standing now, when I see them from time to time on those mornings where the swans come straight this way. I mean, like right at you. Now they've been bending off to our right as they start heading this way. They've been kind of doing a diagonal pattern going this way. But there are mornings where, time and time again, they fly right at me, or this location, and then they just fly right over the treetops overhead. Okay, here we go. Hang on. Now, what was outstanding about that moment just now is I could hear their wings. Not just the, like you're slapping a rug against a post. Not just that sound. I'm talking about the sound of the cushion of air. The I heard it that time. They were close enough to hear that. Circling back. It's always cool when they do that circle. They just gain a little bit more height, and then they still go do another 180 and off toward the farm fields. Along Highway 9, Springgetty Road, Lowell Larimer Road. Still a few out there, and this is the way it plays out again and again every morning. Here we go. See how those webbed feet are just slapping that water, creating splashes, and then they get this grace. For those old enough to remember, it makes for a Marlin Perkins Wild Kingdom kind of moment. Sands Mutual of Omaha. Somebody's hunting across the other side of the river. This is better? Thank you, Liana. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. So few swans remaining, I can literally count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Looks like there are 13 swans remaining. When it starts off, there's probably around 100 or so, if not more. And you know another great thing about this spot as opposed to that spot? My feet don't get nearly as dirty, muddy, wet. So today I'm actually getting away with wearing tennis shoes. Normally I would wear my rubber boots out here. I'm hearing geese. I don't know if they're heading this way. Captain Puget, there you go. I'm hearing geese once again, snow geese. I'll be quiet. Let's hear if you can see if you can hear them. Creating quite a stir. Out towards the river. I tell you what, I've often talked about how the fog forms over the river in the valley and then spreads out. But initially it develops and winds along the valley floor right over the river, much like a snake, you know, slithering its way through the valley. And you're seeing some of that right over the river right there. And when I arrived here this morning, the parking lot's up above. It's above, up in that area. And I could literally look down on fog that was still here, just above the fog. Patches of it. It was really cool. Like a cushion. Okay, I do see snow geese. I don't know how well they'll show up here. They're off in the distance. They're on the move towards the farm fields as well. I see a couple of waves of them. That's one of them. Look for a V formation in the center of your screen. Do you see it? Kind of like scattered pepper on a white tablecloth. And they're more to the right. Oh, I see more over here. Lots more on the move. Just to the left and right of that tree, the big tall tree, and now to the left of it, more snow geese on the move. How about that? I love this time of year. Just love it. Right on, Liana. Nice to have you along. Always a pleasure to engage with folks here on Periscope. Almost always. Done a good job over the years of, with the help of many of you, of keeping it. So it's I would say, quite a positive community here. Well, I'm going to wrap up here soon, and the choice is going to be, do I go back home right away and have that coffee? Or do I go check out the farm fields and look at the Trumpeter Swans and see if, because look at all those geese, they're heading right over towards Springhetty Road. My son used to mule for Bruce Barnbaum, learned a lot about fog photos. Oh, very cool, Dad. I don't know who Bruce is, but that sounds interesting. I'm trying to spot those geese. They're out in that direction towards Springhetty. I'm going to have to go check that out. No, I didn't. If I had gotten up like at 6 a.m., I could have made coffee, brought it with me. The coffee situation's always a catch-22 in a couple of ways. It means getting up earlier, or spending more time if you got up late, getting out of the door, and then drinking it, and then inevitably, especially as I get older, being in a place where, hey, I had a lot of caffeine this morning. Where's the restroom? TMI? Well, you get that kind of transparency here on Beyond 90 Seconds. Well, the good deal actually here is they do have a porta potty in the parking lot. And I'm not a big fan of porta potties these days, this year especially, but it can come in handy. Yeah, I mentioned, I think a moment ago, that I just love it from September on. I mean, there's so much neat stuff that happens with the change, going from late summer, then into fall, and then now here in the midst of fall. It's such a great time of year. And I recently been revisiting, and I'm going to repost it, kind of repurpose it with a new intro, a video I did back in 2011 about that change of seasons here in the Snohomish Valley. And it's a video that I love. It never really got much traction on YouTube, but I just love the video because it really, I think, it so authentically speaks to what resonates with what's inside of me in terms of what unfolds during that time of year. Now look at that. You see all that splashing? That's that wild galloping on their webbed feet. Like I said a moment ago, horses in the straightaway are taking off at the start of a race, but then, within just a few seconds, they're airborne and they fly low over the water and then get their lift and off they go. Man, I am hearing geese, and Deb and Janine and Triple Tall, more than anyone. You know what that means to me. And so I'm going to have to go and investigate. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm seeing 12. I counted 13 before, so my count was off before. Okay, I'm seeing geese over here. They could be headed toward the another spot that's their general direction of travel right now. A couple spots. One is the old Snohomish Monroe. Oh, I'm hearing an eagle. Did you hear that? There is an eagle somewhere over here. Gosh. Okay, eagle over there. Don't see it, but I hear it. And the snow geese, there's some, so they're either going to that location near Lord Hill of the old Snohomish Monroe Highway, or they're going toward, there's a real popular spot near Highway 2. Do you hear them? I mean, they're probably a mile away, if not more. They're clear on the other side of the river. So I could understand if you don't hear them, but man, do I hear them. And there are some more that are visible right here. Hang on. Yep, you hear them good. Hi, Kit. I just drove way out there and around the area. Saw a lot of snow geese on the move, headed north. Nice to have you all here. We might get a bit of rain overhead. Got a dark cloud, little cell there. Hey, Havani, welcome. Kit, that is awesome to hear. Kit is in Redding, California, where they had a very dry summer and early fall once again. Fire season seems to be more intense and longer in Redding, California, as well as many areas. Thanks, Weather Fred. Nice to have you here, Weather Fred. So, just a few minutes ago, well, what I did, for those who might know the area, is I came south, or actually north on Highway 9, and I went west on Lowell Larimer Road, followed it around the Marsh Road, and came back, crossed Highway 9 once again, and then I pulled over where Stalker Farms was, right next to Harvey Field Airport. I stopped there and shot some splashes of sunshine while it was still there, with geese flying overhead. A lot of geese were flying overhead. What did Tom say? I just missed it. No power on Whidbey Island. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Tom. Wind has very much been the story in much of the Pacific Northwest and British Columbia. I think, if I read correctly, Oregon overnight, early this morning, had winds at, I think, at Newport, and what was the other location name? I think it was something like Cape Foulweather, so, most appropriately. Winds of 92 miles per hour this morning, while it was still dark. And I think it was Scott Sistek from KOMO, Channel 4 ABC affiliate television station in Seattle, was saying if he could get across the border, he'd love to go into Canada, Vancouver Island, and the north end of Vancouver Island, because they're expected to get some intense winds, according to the forecast, apparently. I believe that had yet to transpire. I saw some trumpeter swans flying. So when I was out shooting, I got off work at 3:30. I got off a little early because I worked late last night, so got to take off a bit earlier today, which allows me to get some sunlight. If I work until 5, it's dark now, so. But I can tell you, out towards Granite Falls, Lake Stevens, it is raining. According to the eye, that's the story the eye tells right now. So you see that bright spot right there, which is really nice, where there's some color. That's beautiful. But if we come over here, visibility over the ridgeline, it seems to be raining in the distance off in that direction, beyond that ridgeline. Especially when you look over here. Yeah, I would say parts of Marysville, Granite Falls, Lake Stevens. But that makes a beautiful picture. So you know what? Kit says she hates wind. Tom says extremely windy. So it's interesting if that's what's happening right now, Tom, because right here in Snohomish right now, I mean, it was a bit windy earlier today, but we have a reprieve. Nothing, I think, compared to what you've been experiencing, especially since I've seen some of what's been posted on social media. I think it was one of the Whidbey Island accounts, which I think you might actually manage, showed some pretty intense waves slapping along the shorelines of Whidbey Island. For those who don't know the area, Whidbey Island, first of all, let's start with right where I'm standing. Okay, I'm standing in Snohomish, Washington. If you're the local, I'm on Spring-Getty Road, south end of Spring-Getty Road, right where it begins on the south end, which gives you a bit of a hillside and a view of the valley. All right, if you go about 15 miles west in that direction, Whidbey Island, that's where Tom's at, Whidbey Tom. And he's participating in this, as he so often does, and sharing what's going on in Whidbey Island right now. And he says they've been getting hammered by winds, if I'm hearing it correctly, and the electricity's been out, the power. So it's quiet here for the moment, and what I love about it is we're getting a little bit of everything. We had some nice little bit of light permeating through the skies down there just a moment ago. And then over here, it's a little bit different. You lost power around 11:30 this morning, Tom. And you've been out with it ever since? Then we get some blue sky over here. And remember I pointed up just a moment ago and it looked like it could rain on us? Well, all of that's drifting east. So it's gone off in that direction and east-northeast and this direction. I see a raptor. Might be a bald eagle. Hang on. 5 hours. Wow, Tom. That is a big nuisance. Sorry to hear that, buddy. Let's follow this raptor. We do have bald eagles in the area. We also have a lot of hawks. Where did it go? I just lost it. I've been down on that road and have had them fly right towards me and over my head, bald eagles, over the years, including twice live on Periscope. Not directly over my head, but very close. One of the cool things about the raptors in the area, let's talk about the hawks. Okay, you see off in the distance, way out there, that ridge line that's above the valley? Well, that extends and it's kind of, our view is blocked of it. But on those slopes coming down to the valley, there are a lot of trees, historically anyway. And what's awesome about that is it makes great vantage points for the hawks to nest and to survey the valley below. You know, hawks, raptors, they have awesome vision. And I've watched them up there and I've watched them go out into the valley, especially in September's I've done that for some reason. But anyway, unfortunately, there's just been so much development in that area that a lot of that habitat has been lost. And to me, a lot of it doesn't even make sense in terms of the water runoff and the clay. A lot of that is built on clay, and we get slides now from that hillside, that escarpment, down onto a local road called Lower Larimer Road. It just seems like it's an annual event. The trees come down and things slide. Kind of a cool, I don't know if I can quite grab it, but kind of cool what's going on with the clouds out in this direction. Tom on Whidbey Island stuck without power, but man, you might have some dramatic skies out that way, Tom, since that's where I'm pointed out that way right now. Looks like you might have some interesting breaks and maybe a bit of color too. It wants to turn pink a little bit right out there. Things are changing quickly overhead, you know, clouds, then blue sky. It's a little bit of potpourri, which is what autumn and our fall storms are all about. I'm not incredibly optimistic tonight. I guess I should say late this afternoon that we're going to see many trumpeter swans as they normally do come this way, because I drove the loop, as I mentioned earlier in this scope, and I didn't see many. The birds, you know, the weather's blustery, and it seems to have stirred up the waterfowl in the area. Definitely Friday the 13th. There you go, Tom. Funny you should say that. As I went out the door a little early, I told my wife, I said, all right, wish me luck on Friday the 13th. It's like about 3:45 that I stepped out this afternoon. Sunset is like 4:32 officially. Again, I like that hole in the sky out towards Whidbey. Almost looks like mammotus clouds, or however you say it. I'm not a weather guy. So you got this belt of clouds with a break there. I say belt because if we tilt up, look, blue sky. Sergio Pinzon, welcome to your first day on Periscope. And Lear C H and so forth, welcome. It's a long username, my friend. Kit, welcome back. You see the evening traffic on State Route 9, also known as Highway 9 locally. Thank you for the hearts, Kit. I hope you all had a great week and that your Friday, well, obviously, except for Tom, he's without power. I hope that your Friday has been a good one. Now, I see a big belt of snow geese on the move. They're not far from Highway 2. Look at that white belt. You see the white belt out there? Those are all snow geese on the move, flying. Wow, how about that? They're on the move. Very nice, Karen. Glad to bring you a little daylight. Just beyond my fingertip, that's where the snow geese are on the move right now. Do you guys see them? Several thousand snow geese on the move right there. I know where they're at. That's right off of Highway 2. And the way to get to that area is don't get on Highway 2. If you're in, from my point of view, what I would do from here is I go Springhetty into town, Old Snohomish, and get on 2nd Street. Hard to see, yeah. Sorry, Karen. They just put down again. 2nd Street, and right before you get to Highway 2, you can take a right. There are a couple of rights. The first one will take you to where there's some baseball fields and such, and the second one will take you down to a dead end where there's a barn and a lot of cows. But either of those locations, one of them will likely get you close to those geese and keep you off the highway. So, in other words, they're safe alternatives. Wow, let's check it out over here. I was mentioning a few minutes ago, I'm not terribly optimistic we'll see many trumpeter swans tonight because I just didn't see many out in the fields. And usually this time into early evening twilight, they come periodically this way and fly overhead in the general area anyway, as they go to nearby lakes for the night. 3577532. Welcome to your first day on Periscope. Let's go for a little cloud swirl action here. Pets are not disposable says it's a blustery evening. We've had rain throughout the day. You know, I should have checked the time of moonrise for today. Maybe Deb or someone could chime in, or Kit. Well, Kit, our moonrise is going to be a lot different than yours in Redding, California. Sweden! Nice to have you here from Sweden, Ocean Stars. What a pleasure. Thank you for saying hello and letting us know where you're watching from. This is Washington State, as you so aptly stated. As the title indicates, this is a town called Snohomish. We're overlooking some of the farm fields here. We're about 30 miles north of Seattle. You're most welcome. Your sister lives in Seattle. Oh, very nice. Have you ever had a chance to visit her here? Isn't it interesting? So much blue sky all of a sudden right here. Everything packed over here to the northeast. A lot of clouds. And then just, wow, I'm sure there are people getting some beautiful sunset pictures in Everett and Mukilteo, Edmonds, Whidbey Island. Oh, that's very nice. Looks like there's a band of pink lavender out there. She lives with her husband and 2 kids. Very nice. Well, I hope she likes it here. But no doubt she misses Sweden, I would think. Well, I'm going to hang tight here for at least a few more minutes, just in case some trumpeter swans come this way. Oh, very nice. A lot of people have made their living at Boeing over the generations here. We'll see how well that continues. He works with the P8 at Poseidon. No, I'm afraid I don't. Sounds interesting. Hey, Rorschach. Yeah, it looks okay. Good afternoon to you as well. Okay, here are some swans. They're a bit off in the distance, couple of them. Yes, very big company. Yeah, you saw him, Karen? Very cool. Oh, look, we got a raptor here. Here you go, Kit. Rorschach, I'm about 30 miles north of Seattle. I think that was a bald eagle, you guys. What do you think, Kit? We have nests very nearby. And yes, many of them are here this time of year. You have your, I guess you call them resident bald eagles. Then you have those that move on and return. You were just going to ask. I'm going to keep looking over my shoulder in case it comes back this way. Your sister is a company auditor. Ah, okay. Nice. So is she the one who works for Boeing, or did you say it's your brother-in-law? Yes, Kit is in Reading. Eagles lady, yeah. She's all about the Eagles as well. I believe you said that she's an auditor. I think you were referring to your sister. And you mentioned they're here for, she and her husband are here for a job in Boeing, and I just wasn't trying to recall whether you said your brother-in-law has the job with Boeing or it's your sister who is an auditor with Boeing. Just in from the dog walk. Yeah, okay, so earlier I was saying, Deb, that if you're in Everett or Mukilteo, Whidbey Island, you probably have a much better vantage point of a beautiful sky out in that direction where you are. So Deb, was it really nice during your walk? Was it windy? Did you have rain? Not much wind here, but Tom says out in Whidbey Island, what, about 15 miles out that way? So much wind, and the power's been out since 11:30 this morning. Your sister's husband works at Boeing. Your sister apparently also works, and she's an auditor. Okay, gotcha. Thank you for clarifying. I love these dramatic skies, and I love this house being up on the hillside. Sometimes we get the moon rises over it. Last time we saw Mars and Trumpeter swans over the house. Speaking of raptors, I shared one of many memorable moments I've had the good fortune to experience, as many of you have, with raptors. I posted one to my Instagram account today. It's a video on IGTV, and it features a rough-legged hawk hunting. And I don't know if you're familiar with the rough-legged hawk, and I think it's also known as the rough-legged buzzard, but it can hover, you know, it'll flap its wings, and it's not going forward, backwards, up or down, it just hovers. And when you see these hawks do that, it is just, that was the first time I really got a really good look at some of that sustained behavior. I shot that back in 2013 up at Skagit Flats in Skagit County, just north of Snohomish County, where I'm presently located. But if you want to check it out, you can find it on my Instagram feed as well. Just click it, it'll take you to the full video, which is about 1.5 minutes or so, or maybe more. I think actually it might be closer to 3 minutes now that I think about it, but it's all set to beautiful native flute music. And I'm on Instagram just like I am here at Beyond 90 Seconds. At Beyond 90 Seconds. Just like I am here on Periscope and Twitter. And if you do happen to check it out and you like it, feel free to leave a comment and say, hey, I saw you on Periscope. Checked out your video. And tell me what you think of it. Would love to maybe even hear if you have a story of your own that you'd like to share. Watching wildlife, including raptors. You have a lot of hawks about your house. Right on, Rorschach. Where are you located? Ah, Hermosa? Hello, saludo. Pleasure to have you here. Deb says, the wind was kicking up. All leaves are down. Wow. Mamas and the papas. All the leaves are brown. So many leaves have been coming down, and this wind event that's been going through much of the Pacific, the coastal area of the Pacific Northwest and British Columbia will bring probably a great majority of the remaining leaves down between yesterday and through the weekend. Oh, you're in Northern California as well. Right on. It's the California Dreamin' song. Yeah, exactly. Well, it's great that we have Kit and Rorschach from Northern California. I bet you they both have a view of Mount Shasta. Thank you very much, Rorschach. I appreciate it. I think I said Rorschach a moment ago. That's because I knew somebody. I guess maybe it was between that and Horseshack, if I'm being totally honest. Wonderful name, though. You love Mount Shasta. Yeah, it brings back great memories. When I was a kid, growing up here, once a year for a period of years, my dad would take us down to Southern California. And our first night stop was always Redding. Always Redding. That was halfway point to get to Southern California from here. And so seeing Mount Shasta was always the highlight along our travels. I remember going south, you would be going downhill and you'd see it off to the east, off of I-5. At least that's the way I remember it. I liked it on the Periscope app when you used to be able to tap your screen on a particular area, like where it's really bright right now. The way the app used to work, I could tap my screen right there, and it would, thank you, Kit, and it would expose for that brightness. The app no longer works that way, at least not for me. And it's a pity, because you could really control the exposure and show a better representation of what I'm seeing with my eye, because right now there are some really nice low fingers to that dark area of the fringe of the cloud there above. It's extending downward and it just doesn't translate, and I can't adjust the aperture, if you will. Oh, what do we have here? Hello, friend. Got to keep your head on a swivel at these moments, especially around sunset, you know, because, and we're past sunset now, but even into twilight, birds are on the move. I think we had a hawk there, but it could have been a falcon. I also have a lot of nature content as well on my YouTube page if you'd like to check it out. It's at Beyond 90 Seconds, so youtube.com/Beyond 90 Seconds will get you there. Once you do that, you'll see that URL change to something like Mark Horner Media, but it's all me. My name's Mark Horner. You know what, Karen? Oh, there goes that raptor. It just dove down, and I don't know where. Oh, it's going back up now. Can't find it because it's behind the tree. Huh. Karen, it's so funny. I was thinking about this house today, and I was thinking what a wonderful location it would be to have that view out the window, and just to have that property, just to have a safe spot, plenty of elbow room, and be even closer to the Trumpeter Swans when they pass overhead in the evenings. I think that's the Baileys as well. The Bailey Farms owns a lot of this stretch of property. They're generations, very well established for generations in this area. And Mrs. Bailey was telling me over the summer that her daughter lives up there, so I assume that might be her house, but that they're going to develop over here across the street. So if I'm around when that happens, you'll probably see it if you join me on Periscope. I love this spot though. Usually it's the cows that are out there through the summer, you know. Noisy. Well, this is rush hour for this. It's kind of an alternative route away from the highway, and it's just a 2-lane country road. Yeah, a shame. I tell you what though, the past 2 or 3 years, on the 4th of July, I've come down here with my wife and my 2 youngest boys, and we park right here where I'm standing, because the folks up here on this hillside, they spend a lot on fireworks, and they're literally going off over our head. So what we do is we open the sunroof and the kids pop their heads out. I don't want them out of the vehicle because the car's going by, but it's a very safe place to park. And not only do we have the fireworks going off overhead, you see them out there in the distance. Yeah, it's just, there are all sorts of fireworks when you're going up. I mentioned we're down in a valley, but up there above the valley in the ridgeline, way off in the distance, that's the urban area or inner urban area. Look at these patterns. It's almost like feather patterns. But yeah, you'll see just all these distant fireworks as well as what's going. It gets really loud too, right here. But look, it's almost like a feathery cloud here. Isn't that beautiful? I've got to get my camera. I've got it around my neck on a strap, so iPhone scoping in one hand and DSLR in the other hand. Okay, let's look at these clouds. Very interesting. Beautiful texture. Just Mother Nature stretching out that cloud with the winds aloft. And look at this. Isn't that beautiful? And I will also say this, Karen, you spoke about the sound. This iPhone, of course, the iPhone with their, just the device microphone really picks up all that audio. When I wear a microphone, which I often do when I scope, I use an adapter and I'll wear a lavalier microphone. It really cuts down on a lot of that noise. But yeah, look at this. It looks like a river, doesn't it? It looks like a river of cloud. I think I almost see like what looks like a petroglyph figure, crouching down, knees out, hands spread out like a wild eagle, maybe like doing a native dance. Do you see it? I'm getting really imaginative. But head, arm, weight, trunk of the body, knee, leg. How about that? You see it? Oh, right on. Yeah, you probably wouldn't hear as much inside the house. Now, there's a driveway here, and there's a couple, well, I know they did live there. Oh, a second, I'm hearing trumpeter swans. So trumpeter swans are on the move. They're out in the distance. They're coming out from the farm field to cross Highway 9, and they're flying this way. They're going to pass over this way, and they're going to go to a nearby lake where they spend the evening. I'll zoom in, but don't expect the picture to be very good. And there are more. And there are more. And if we're lucky, we'll get some that come right toward us. I'm not going to hold my breath. It often happens, but that's the popular flyway at the moment. But this is the safest area for me to park right now. Now there are more. It's funny, we were talking about leaves coming down. Well, there are a few whipping around here and there. The wind's starting to stir. There are some thorns on that plant. You know, it seemed like it was just going to be a ho-hum opportunity to scope. Because as I mentioned earlier in this broadcast, I did drive around the area, did not see a lot of geese in the immediate area. I saw many thousands flying in the distance, as we saw a bit earlier in the scope, but they were way off, weren't they? But there's really never a ho-hum moment here. It's always, I mean, what the clouds have done tonight has been beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. It's very much been like a Bob Ross kind of palette. Look how it's cleared out. And we've seen, I believe, a couple of raptors. We've seen trumpeter swans, and we saw snow geese way off in the distance. A very large number of them. The only thing we haven't had, kid, is the sound of the train. If you're new to the scope, you might be saying, well, what is this? What's going on? Why keep going? Because so often, something happens before it gets really dark. Well, what could something be? Well, from this point of view, you might get fortunate enough to have some trumpeter swans coming right here, just like they did for me the other night. I was out here a few days ago, and it was kind of like this, and sure enough, trumpeter swans came right on cue. from right through there. And they came right at me and they flew right overhead. And I followed them and they went right over that house. And Mars was right there. It was a clear sky and we could see the planet Mars, and the trumpeter swans went on their way. And so it's a moment like that which I find exhilarating. And there are some swans as I gab. With their 7 to 10 foot wingspans. Not a subdivision. The family who already owns this land and has for generations, Mrs. Bailey, that's the Bailey Farms. They live along in this road, and you've seen Mars, wonderful. Yeah, it's a mighty sight. I mean, I'm just talking about with the naked eye, the red planet, right? So Bailey Farms has a compost area down there, and they have a home down there, and they grow a lot of produce here and through the summer and into the fall. They have you pick, if you will. You pull over and you can pick the fields. Its season has ended now. Yeah, it's just one house. Starting to rain. Anyway, I started to mention earlier that there is a house down this driveway, which is back in that area. And what's really interesting, right now you can see the reflection of the headlights on that retaining wall. That retaining wall didn't used to be there. And there's an elderly couple that was living there and had been there for a long time when I first spoke to them about 4 or 5 years ago. And they paused here and they spoke with me. We had a friendly conversation. And they talked about, because it was around that time that this retaining wall was put in. And over the years, yeah, cars had gone over the edge and toppled down toward their house, right up near their house. So they were very happy about the retaining wall. What do we have here? A raptor? Yeah, that's one that we saw earlier. I think it came from the tree. It very likely was one we saw earlier, I should say. Can't say definitively. Triple tall, hot coffee sounds good. Yeah, just one house. So I did not put my phone on a gimbal tonight. I'm just hand holding it because I knew it could rain. In years past, I've done some, taking the time to kind of wrap the phone in a way with Ziploc baggies and so forth, where I could still attach my microphone that I often use and protect it from the rain. Those of you who follow me know I've had a few adventures with my electronics while scoping. This is an iPhone 7 Plus. It replaced the original iPhone 7 Plus, which suffered water damage when I was recording salmon spawning. That's because the phone was in the water. That's just one of the two primary stories. The other one happened a couple of months or so ago when I drove off with the iPad, the new iPad Pro, 12.9, 1 terabyte, on top of this vehicle. And I drove that way, and I heard a kerclunk in the night as I drove off. And your phone too, Karen? Anyway, the iPad survived. When I got out of the car, fortunately, nobody was behind me. Nobody else was driving. And I thought I saw the iPad, but it was just the Magic Keyboard, which I had it on. Well, where was the iPad? It was in the ditch, and it survived, and it still worked. But it did scuff badly, so I replaced it with my Apple Care. So that was wonderful. I'll try and hold that still, and you can get a sense of the pace of that white fringe just beyond above the tree, kind of stretching and moving along, of cloud. Thanks, Karen. Kit, thank you for all those hearts. Very kind of you. Oh, Kit, my pleasure. Thank you for watching and engaging as always. Kit has been watching for years. Well, let's see, Periscope started, what, March of 2015, if I'm not mistaken? So I was an early adopter, and I don't know, people have different opinions about Periscope. I kind of got mocked about it at work a couple of years ago. No one does Periscope. Well, I've enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed the community. And it's also on Twitter, you know, so because it's linked to my Twitter account. And I have just had some wonderful shared experiences with some really quality people. And who I've learned from very much so as well. But most of all, just a shared appreciation for wildlife, nature, opportunities for calm, peace and tranquility, as well as the unexpected. Yes, you did. On your way to Canada, we met in Mukilteo. We met up, and it rained. It was kind of a blustery day like this. There's a jet passing overhead. Small jet. I heard it before I saw it. Yeah. I mean, when the pandemic in its early months this year, I was scoping on this road and speaking with a young man from China on one of the islands off the coast of China, sharing about how things were unfolding there at that time. And we've had others on from other countries many times, and some who have shared, you know, some really interesting, made some great contributions. Hey Deb, I have a question for you, or maybe Triple Tall could tell me. What time was or is moonrise today? Just curious. Purple hearts, yeah. Yeah, it is getting dark. Has Seattle survived the pandemic well? Well, a big part of that answer is it depends on who you ask. I'll give you my opinion. The governor of Washington, Jay Inslee, will tell you that this has been a very proactive state. When it comes to the pandemic, and yes, compared to many other states, it has been. But even when restrictions are placed and strong advice is given, many people are still getting together. Many people are still coming together in large groups. I mean, the pumpkin farms were crazy, and I saw it firsthand, and I didn't go to them, but I drove by. There's one over there, and there's another one across the river from here behind me. 4:57 a.m. Okay. Thank you, Deb. Let's put it this way. I think that the restrictions and the implementation of them have been very loose, in my humble opinion, compared to some countries that have far more effectively dealt with the pandemic. I don't want to get all tied up in knots about it on a Periscope broadcast, but I tell you what, I got so sick in January, and I was in bed for 15 days, and I don't know whether or not I had it. I don't know, and I know there are tests. But I'll tell you what I was doing a lot during that time. That was following the news out of China in January. And there was a lot of having to try to separate fact from fiction at that time. But it was very much in front of my mind because of that reason, I think. Boy, it's just beautiful. Even when it's almost dark, it's still beautiful. Yeah, Karen, I hear ya. All right, we'll give it a couple more minutes, and if we don't see any more trumpeters, the money shot would just be to see trumpeters come from that direction right there. Come on, guys. Because they would be so silhouetted against that bright sky. But I'm not holding out much hope tonight because I just didn't see many of them where I would normally see them and where they've been several days in a row. They only returned here a couple weeks or so ago. They migrate here for the fall and winter, as do the snow geese. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're all in good health. And I hope that all your family and friends are doing real well with their health as well. Their all-around health. It's just been a really hard time for so many of us, hasn't it? My heart goes out to the people who have been directly impacted with the disease, with the virus, I should say, itself. And of course, for those who have been impacted economically, if it's their business and so forth. Yeah, I'm out here wearing a mask and I'm all by myself, and I know it's met with ridicule by a lot of people, but I believe in wearing the mask and setting a good example. There are times like if I'm on scope, you'll notice if I'm in a situation like this where I'm by myself, I'll have a mask with me. It might be pulled down pulled down if I go on camera. A lot of times it's not. Yes, Sweden, right. You're in Sweden. It's gone well for you. I think it's, I think it's New Zealand that I read recently has done really, really well with it as well. Oh, okay. Yeah, sad. Thank you for sharing that. information though. Okay, my friends, I think I'm going to call it a night. It feels funny saying that at this hour, because during the height of summer, you know, we have some light in the sky off in that direction until 10 o'clock, you know, in the evening. And now the flip side of things, it gets dark so early this time of year. But then again, someone was watching earlier and saying, hey, it's nice to see you have some daylight. It's already dark where we're at. So we're fortunate for what we have. And tonight, what we have is, I have fresh air, a nice breeze. I mean, several weeks ago, a few months ago, we had all that forest fire smoke. Kit can relate to this. And it's just nice, you know, you can't take for granted what we do have, and each day is a blessing. And it was a blessing to have this moment with you. As far away as Sweden, we had Sweden with us tonight. And yeah, I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for you and all of you who made comments and shared. Thank you so much for participating tonight on what was not a ho-hum evening. It was a lot of fun. Thanks a lot. Take care, everybody, and hope to see you again soon. So long.